All right, Foundations family, moms and dads, school starting in about 1 to 3 weeks, depending upon what side of the river you're on or where your kiddos go to school. And with that comes a lot of stress. And we get it. We got school-age kiddos ourselves. Schedules are changing, lunches have to be packed, bedtimes need to be more regulated, what will they wear, all of it. And one of the struggles that moms and dads always bring into us and up to us during this time of year is, oh, how I hope they'll be able to handle the classroom, handle schoolwork, handle the tests, handle the homework. Because we know that symptoms like trouble paying attention, controlling impulsive behaviors, and being overly active also commonly get tested and bucketed into the diagnosis of ADHD. And having talked with hundreds of parents about this diagnosis and the natural ways to help it, there's still a lot of confusion on if a child actually has ADHD, what are the causes, and how we can help them without medications. So in this video, we'll look at ADHD through a different lens, more than just a diagnosis. We'll unpack the symptoms and then how the brain and the nervous system influence these systems of the body that bring about the attention, the focus, the impulse control struggles. And going back to the main root cause will help truly make sense of it and find answers to address these difficulties for all you moms and dads who have these concerns. So parents who are slightly nervous of school starting and the letters and emails coming your way or the fights and the struggles with focus and homework, parents looking for medication or drug-free options, listen in, this is what we're going to talk about. They may have heard from a teacher, a school administrator, or a counselor that medication is the only option or even the best option, but that's not the case, and that's not congruent with our beliefs. So you know in your mom gut that there's something else, something down there that you think can help. Additionally, many dads and sometimes moms too attribute ADHD symptoms to genetics. Because like, well, I struggle with this, so little Johnny, little Susie has to struggle with this. We don't find that to be the case either. We'll discuss that more here. This video is designed to look at ADHD, like I said, through a different lens. ADHD isn't just a struggle in the brain, it's the nervous system input to the brain, okay? ADHD also isn't just hyperactivity. It can turn into a huge energy drain as we get older, especially later in elementary years and teenage and young adult years. So, one quick story. One kiddo who's near and dear to our hearts and fits perfectly here is my buddy Aston. And Aston came to us with tremendous amounts of what mom described as like busy brain. Having trouble focusing, schoolwork, hobbies, sleep, calming down. Even though Aston was 10 at the time, we go back and take a deep dive into his history because we know it's important. So he was delivered with a forceps assistance, which puts terrible amounts of stress on the upper cervical portion of our spine, specifically where the vagus nerve sits. And the vagus nerve is responsible for our brake pedal system. So resting, digesting, calming, relaxing, healing, neuronal development, all the good stuff. So as with all of our cases, we see after we take our deep dive into history, we do another deep dive into neurology with our insight scans. And Aston's show a ton of stuck energy and stress way up top, just as we suspected. So we laid out a care plan, tailor-made to him to address this and find this and help to fix this. All right? And mom now reports Aston's mood is better, his sleep is better, his ability to focus has improved, his relationships with his friends and his family members have taken off, right? He's able to participate in baseball and he's flourishing. And he was even able to get rid of the anxiety medications. We couldn't be happier for Aston and his family. Like I said, they're some of our favorites. ADHD isn't just a busy, overwhelmed brain though. The body can be overwhelming the brain too, causing the central nervous system to be in fight or flight mode. We call that gas pedal. The question most parents have is, where does the stress come from? And the quick answer is from 4 key stressors that are often overlooked. Number 1, high stress and high risk pregnancies. These put mom and baby into a sympathetic dominant state that shifts them more into a fight or flight, more gas pedal, or a protective state. Number 2 is birth interventions such as forceps, like in Aston's case, or a vacuum extraction, a C-section, even induction places a lot of physical stress, most commonly in the upper neck and the shoulders, which overwhelms the neural and motor development. Number 3, fussy or colicky as an infant with reflux, constipation struggles, and these continue to overwhelm our autonomic or our automatic nervous system, pushing us, stressing us more gas pedal. Number 4, frequent ear and or respiratory infections before the age of 3 years old, along with antibiotic use, further adding stress to the autonomic nervous system and the vagus nerve. which is that brain to gut connection. So when the nervous system gets overtaxed and overworked with these four stressors, the signals that it's sending to the brain are full-on protection, fight or flight, gas pedal mode in every area of the brain. The cerebrum, I'm going to get nerdy for a second, the cerebrum, the motor centers, which causes kids to not be able to sit at all, gets stressed out. The midbrain, which is our limbic system, specifically the hippocampus if you're a super nerd, this affects focus and attention, and then the prefrontal cortex regions that affect socialization, speech, situational awareness, and the ability to self-calm and regulate. All these have an effect, and they're all happening to our kiddos when we get stuck gas pedal and we can't go more brake pedal. Second thing I want to talk about, ADHD isn't just hyperactivity. An overwhelmed body and brain can cause brain fog. It can cause focus and attention issues. And if it's not addressed, it can cause huge energy drains for our kiddos. And this is actually quite common to see ADHD. It's quite common to see with ADHD, especially if they have struggled with all four of the causes that we just mentioned above, to be more wound up and tired out instead of hyperactive. This happens for many reasons, but a couple main reasons we're going to talk about is when the system is in sympathetic dominance, gas pedal, stressed out mode for a long time, high energy, low sleep, constant stress, it eventually burns out. Demotivation, tiredness, and grumpiness set in. I'm sure you can see this and recognize this with your kids. Number 3, yes, genetics can influence these behaviors, but not nearly as much as we think. The nervous system, specifically the vagus nerve, and its development play a much bigger role. In studies by Dr. Bruce Lipton, one of my favorites, he's a PhD biologist who studies epigenetics. It is estimated that no more than 15% of our genetic code determines our outcomes. This means that 85% of it is up to us. And I think even more recent studies will show that it's like 5% genetics and 95% up to us. So our environment, our internal environment and our external environment. This is incredibly encouraging, or should be, meaning that even though dad may have struggled with attention, dad may have struggled with focus, dad may have struggled with ADHD, it doesn't mean that their kids have to also. Now, we're going to put this all together. Number 4, kids struggling with ADHD most commonly have a significant imbalance and dysfunctional nervous system themselves. This condition we call dysautonomia. And the most common presentation of this is an overactive and excessive response within the sympathetic, the fight or flight, the gas pedal part of our nervous system. And thus we have an underactive and understimulated parasympathetic or brake pedal side of the nervous system. So our network as pediatric chiropractors focuses on addressing the subluxation or the stuck stress and the vagus nerve, which is the dysautonomic challenges directly, getting the sympathetic nervous system unstuck and in turn activating and stimulating the parasympathetic brake pedal side of the nervous system with each and every adjustment that we do. While each individual adjustment is able to stimulate and activate the nervous system in a certain way, it really takes time and repetition to make long-lasting changes within the brain and our autonomic nervous system. Most parents and caregivers begin to report positive changes, just like Aston's mom, in the first few weeks for our younger children and over a matter of a few months for our older children. And many others experience almost instantaneous change, just as I did personally. The term for this change via time and repetition is called neuroplasticity, and it's a natural and normal part of brain development in kids, and also extremely important in the recovery of traumatic births and brain injuries. We start first by taking an in-depth, personalized case history on each child, and then the most exciting aspect of our work is that we can directly measure a child's subluxation patterns and dysautonomia via an incredible piece of technology called the Insight scans. My computer has evidently gone to screensaver mode, but you saw Aston scans on there before. I'm sure if you followed us, you've seen plenty of examples of scans. This is the most in-depth and essential piece helping a child with ADHD to find drug-free care options, and it allows us to narrow down to the foundational root, the cause, and elements discussed throughout this entire video. So if this is ringing a bell with you guys, for more information, I'm attaching an article right here to share. Remember, there are medication-free options available. ADHD isn't genetically predetermined, and then when it's with it rooted in the nervous system, it can be changed long terms. At Foundations Chiropractic, we're dedicated to empowering parents like you with knowledge, with resources, and with support. and together we can navigate the challenges of ADHD for our kiddos and our community and discover the best path forward for your child. Questions, comments, concerns, drop us a message, send us an email, give us a phone call, share this information with other moms and groups that you don't need this, and most of all, when your kiddo is struggling with stuff like this, give us a holler. Let's get some scans done. Let's get them back on the right path to health and healing and happiness. Thanks, guys.